We now cross to the studios of ITN for the main world news.
The news from ITN.
Seaside gun rampage. Victim tells how he survived with 60 shot wounds in his body. 3 people are still critically ill in hospital following yesterday's shootings in Monkseaton near Whitley Bay and Tyne and Wear. 1 man died. Police have charged a local man with murder. The chairman of the Police Federation says the incident highlights the continuing threat from shotguns. He says the government should tighten up the law and bring shotguns under the same regulations as other firearms.
The victim of the Monkseaton mayhem lies in front of PC Danny Herdman, who arrested a gunman minutes later. Reminders of yesterday are still evident in this quiet suburb. Today, the local MP talked to those who saw the shootings and called for tighter controls on guns.
Most of us are just horrified at the thought of you could kill and maim 10 or 12 people in as many minutes.
As detectives tried to piece together what caused these seemingly motiveless attacks, the injured told their stories.
As I got into the driveway, I looked over my shoulder and he was pointing a gun at me and he just fired the rifle. Hit me in the back and the side, and obviously got my car and threw me against the car, and I just ran into the house.
How many pellet holes have you counted?
60 up to now. So that's with the trousers on.
And are they going to stay in or what?
They are staying in, yes. They've taken 6 out that they could actually see. The rest are staying in.
Tynesiders here are understandably still shocked by the shootings. They're the only topic of conversation. And the question on everybody's lips is why? Why here and why us?
In Turkey, at least 16 people have been injured, some seriously, after a banned May Day parade was broken up by hundreds of riot police who opened fire. Dozens of workers trying to stage marches throughout the country were also arrested.
Thousands of workers took to the streets to demonstrate for wage rises in defiance of a government ban on May Day protests. The marchers began pelting the police with stones. Fearing they were losing control, the police responded by firing warning shots to disperse the marchers. But soon afterwards, it appears shots were being fired directly at protesters. The unions are seeking wage rises of up to 200% to compensate for inflation. 2 protesters were shot dead in clashes in Istanbul last year, also during May Day marches.
In contrast, in Moscow, thousands of people danced and sang as they took part in an unusually relaxed parade. Many carried banners welcoming the new Soviet parliament and other reforms.
The festival mood with balloons, paper flowers and banners preached the successes of the Gorbachev era, the new openness and political freedoms. On Lenin's mausoleum, Mr. Gorbachev stood with a Politburo now virtually molded to his style of politics. Missing from this lineup for the first time in decades, the veteran Andrei Gromyko, one of more than 100 party old guard axed in last week's power shuffle. But while they marched for Gorbachev and Perestroika, there's a growing realization here that the big drive to boost living standards isn't working. A harsh May Day reminder of that is the introduction, today, of sugar rationing in Moscow.
Police in Poland used tear gas, water cannons and clubs to disperse May Day rallies in 2 cities. But a march organised by the Solidarity trade union was allowed to go ahead in Warsaw. Up to 100,000 people took to the streets there. The ban on Solidarity was only removed last month. The TUC General Secretary, Norman Willis, has warned of a spring of discontent if employers throw out union demands for wage rises. Mr. Willis, speaking at a May Day rally in London, also said workers were becoming resentful of government legislation and arrogant management. Many of the 5,000 demonstrators were trade unionists. Up to 60 prisoners at Risley Remand Centre in Cheshire are still barricading themselves in after an unsuccessful mass breakout attempt last night. About 20 prisoners have now launched a rooftop protest. They unfurled a banner complaining about poor conditions at the centre, which has been dubbed Grizzly Risley in the past. The conditions were condemned in an unofficial report last year. And that's it for now. I'm back at 10 o'clock with the main news. Good afternoon.
Good evening. Well, it's drying out and brightening up. And believe it or not, at 1 o'clock this afternoon, it was warmer in Doncaster than it was in Ibiza. But not everywhere had the sun today, and if we look at the cloud scan picture here, you can see very clearly this great big massive cloud over the British Isles, and there was quite a bit of rain embedded in that as well. But by this afternoon, there was a great big stretch of sunshine from north of the Thames right up to the north of England. Now tonight we've got those same trouble spots, that rain in Scotland gradually pushing south and some of it getting into Northern Ireland. But most of the country is going to be cloudy and dry tonight. There might be some fog around as well in central areas and down here in the southwest where we could have a little bit of coastal drizzle too. But look at those temperatures tonight, warmer than some of last week's daytime maximums. And talking about daytime, let's have a look at tomorrow. Well, we've still got that rain up in Scotland, and as that cold front just starts edging south, it's going to take the rain with it, first of all into Northern Ireland and also into southern Scotland. Everywhere else very dry once again tomorrow and more sunshine than today. And temperature-wise, well, I've really stuck my neck out, putting the first 20 of the year down here in the south. Elsewhere, temperatures pretty good for the time of year. Now, we're going to stay with this warmer weather for the next 4 days. Up in the north, it's going to be a little unsettled because with that cold front, there's going to be a few showers, but temperature's good, and then brightening up on Friday, although it's going to be a little cooler as that cold front just starts edging away to the south. And if we move down to the south, well, we can see that Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are going to be quite dry and the temperature's looking quite excellent too. Well, that's because there's a ridge of high pressure dominating the scene, but by Friday that cold front is starting to push down from Scotland and it's going to start bringing a few showers and cloudy conditions to the north of England too. I'll be back later. Here's the summary.